Okay, guys. So Ralphie was asking me about how I do my process or make things look good or whatever. Like, am I upscaling, downscaling? Like, what's going on? So I'm just gonna kind of walk you through the whole process. So number one, I'm shooting with a GoPro most of the time. For indoor stuff, I designed this little the Whisper, and it has a add-on for the GoPro. I'm still redesigning this whole thing, but to me, this is just the best thing you can use for indoor flying. It flies so much nicer than a Cinewhoop, and yeah, open props, but they're 2 inch. So the worst thing you could do is maybe chip some paint or give someone a little cut. Nothing too much. But I'd rather have something that flies better than safety. Up to you. You can take the safety, but this little thing on a 2S 560 battery will fly for about 6 minutes. So that's pretty crazy. And you can get some really cool shots and control it. But when it comes to the GoPro, the first thing is you want a naked GoPro. You want it to be as light as possible so that the lighter something is, the easier it's going to be to control. You don't want to be going with a 3-inch 6S drone like some people do. It's also, those are noisy. It's scary. It's intimidating. This thing, cute, quiet. No one's afraid. It's great. And in order to make it super light, you don't need the screens. You don't need the back screen. You don't need the front screen. All you need is a back and this wonderful case. I designed this case, so it's light. It's made out of PETG. It's super strong. It's mounted by TPU, so there's flex and stuff. But something like this isn't designed to take a hit. If you go do freestyle with this and you smash it, it breaks. It's your own fault. But Cinewhoops are not made to do freestyle either. Anyways, I just came from a shoot and I did one shot and I didn't get to check it. So we're gonna see. Hopefully everything came out well. We're gonna find out together and see if I did things right. But then I'll put Labs firmware. So you can put Labs firmware onto your GoPro before you make it naked. And then what you're able to do is you're able to do everything with QR codes. And these QR codes give you more control over the drone and the picture and everything than you would just out of the regular menus. Plus, now we don't have any screens, so we can't see anything. So when it comes to shooting, the most important thing is light. If you go out in the middle of the day when it's full brightness, unless you use ND filters, you're going to blast out your photo. So you're going to always want to think indoor is indoor. You got your indoor lights. That's not blazing like the sun, so that's okay. But outdoor, basically shoot when the sun goes up or when the sun goes down. Shoot during golden hour. Fly during golden hour. It's the best time to fly and get beautiful footage. It's the best time to do any photo work so that you don't have to fight with the light. And if you get it as the sun starts going down, you're able to have a nice variety of beautiful shots going darker, darker, darker. So you have a lot of nice variety. You have a lot of change. You have a lot of different looks that you can get within an hour to 2 hour shoot. So if you were to plan a shoot before the sun starts going down, then you have all that sunlight to get set up and whatever. And then by the time the sun's going down, you're warmed up and everything is good. The next thing you have to think about is so resolution. I'm usually shooting in 4K 4:3. So I'm not getting the full 16:9. And I'm also not shooting, usually I'm shooting horizontal. It's up to you. You can shoot vertical or horizontal. But I like 4:3 because later on when we put it through Gyroflow, that's going to turn it into a 16:9. If, on the other hand, you shoot 16:9, you're going to be cropping into it with Gyroflow. Whereas with the 4:3, you're going to be stretching it out, and it's going to be nice. Now, frames per second. Most film has been shot in about 24, 25 frames a second because that is the closest frame rate to what our eyes see. So when we see things and we see things move, there's kind of like motion blur. And all the movies from back in the day were shot in 24, 25 frames per second. So this is what we're used to. So if you've ever watched, when you saw like HD TVs come out and watch sports, you'll notice that sports will often look, there's something weird about it. Like it just looks fake. And that's because it's usually shot, sports are shot in 60 frames per second. And the reason they're shot in 60 frames per second is so that they can slow it down. So if they have the 60 frames per second, they can slow it down to 30 frames per second. So most things now are shot in 30 frames a second or 60 frames a second. Most of them are not actually shot in 25, 24. Some people still do it to get that cinematic look. Good morning. So if you're shooting at 60 frames a second, the shutter's going like, now it's electronic, so it's not the same as before, but it's shooting 2 times faster than 30 frames per second. So what that means is that if you take those 60 frames per second and now you replay them at half the speed, they're at 30 frames per second. So you can slow things down. And then some people will shoot at 120 frames per second, and that allows you to get that nice slow motion. So the more frames per second, the more you can slow it down and keep it looking nice. Keep it looking more natural. And also, if you're looking at it fast, the sharper the image will be. There won't be any motion blur. So at the same time, if you're shooting at 60 frames per second, you're going to have less light than shooting at 30 frames per second. And you'll have more light shooting at 24 or 25 frames per second. So when nighttime comes, I'm not going to be shooting at 60 frames per second. I'm going to be shooting at 30 frames a second. And then when it's really dark, I'm going to go down to 24 frames per second. Because the slower shutter speed means it's open longer, which allows more light in. So you're always going to be thinking about those things. And the two parts of them. One, if you shoot at a higher frame rate, you can slow things down. Also, you can make things a bit darker. So is it still super sunny? 60 frames per second is going to let less sun in. So you're going to be able to get a clearer image than if you were shooting at 24 frames a second and letting all that sunlight in and blasting your thing out. So there's that. Then there's the lens settings. I like super view. There's hyper view, super view, wide. Super view gives you almost an unrealistically large view, but I like that. I like more detail. It also means that if you crop in, it'll look kind of more normal and not so zoomed in. Whereas if you shoot normally or even wide and then you crop into it, when you get too close to something, it doesn't look as nice. Whereas if it's far away, you always have that leeway. You can make it far away and you can enjoy that whole image, but then you can also crop into things and have more to be able to kind of play with. So I shoot with super view. Yes, this is for you, buddy. This is why I'm doing it, okay? For the image stabilization built into GoPro, I'll just use the standard. I'll just do that. Why not? And then I heard that. CapCut was getting annoying anyways, so you can be on DaVinci. DaVinci's free and it's much more powerful. Okay, so then in the depth, I have it at 10-bit. Like you want to use the highest bit that you can. And you might want to, because you can shoot in 4K. You can also now with some of them shoot in 5K. I just shoot in 4K, and the main reason I want it to be kind of easier on it. If, let's say, it was something really like professional, then you could go to the 5K. But the other thing is when you go to 5K, it's harder on the thing, and there's that chance that it overheats. I haven't really messed with that. Maybe I should. But it's harder to process. It's easier to overheat. And when I shoot on 4K, I don't seem to have any problems. Now, with the shutter, the thing that's weird with the shutter is they have it on, instead of shutter speeds, they have it on like an angle. And I still don't totally understand that. I know that the lower, like the higher the angle, the faster it's going to be. The lower the angle, the slower it's going to be. So today for the first, usually I choose like if I'm shooting at 25 frames a second, I'm using the 22-degree angle. If I'm shooting at like 30 frames per second, then I'm using kind of like the 45 or 90. And then if I'm shooting at 60, I'm using like the 45, the 90, or the 180. But for today, I was indoors. I didn't have a lot of chances. I wasn't going to be able to do this a whole pile of times. I wasn't going to be able to get everything perfect. So I just put the shutter on auto so that I just trusted GoPro to use the right shutter speed. When it comes to ISO, ISO is your light sensitivity. So you can make things brighter. Yes, that's it. I'm not showing anything else yet. I'm just going through the lab settings that I use because I show this to the camera and then it sets it. So now the ISO, I'll have the min ISO. Yes, so the min ISO 100, the max ISO 800. You don't want to go past 800, especially like during the day. You might actually want it to go from 100 to 400 because as soon as it's, I'm not doing any of that right now. I'm not. So you need, yeah, maybe you might need a new antenna. Okay, so I'm talking about this, and that's what I'm gonna be doing. When it comes to, yeah, daytime shooting, you want an ISO of about 100 to 400, max like 800, because as ISO allows you to have more light sensitivity. But the more light sensitivity you have, the more noise it will introduce into the picture. And up to 400, you're not going to get much noise. As soon as you go to about 800, you're going to start getting more noise. But now then when nighttime comes, there's a limit to what shutter speed and frames per second will do. They have their limits. So they can be pushed to the max and they're not going to be able to allow enough light for you to get a good picture. So that's where you have to add some more ISO. So when it comes to nighttime, and I've tested this with the GoPro, you can go to up to 6400, it's terrible. 3200 also not that great. It'll let more light, but it lets an amount of noise in that is it's just too much. And 1600 is like, to me, the necessary evil. Like at nighttime, I'll do my max at 1600 because I can still get something that is nice to look at for YouTube. It wouldn't be good enough for, I think, professional work. I don't think you'd want to go past 800. But just to be able to give you guys something that looks nice and have enough sensitivity in night, 1600 to me is the limit. And there's different things you can do. So you could do 3200 and then make it darker in post, or you could do 1600 and make it brighter. And what I find is when I took 3200 and I made it darker, it's still too noisy. Whereas if I took the 1600 and boosted it up, at least I would have a bit of a sharper image. When it goes to sharpness, I'll do low. When it goes to color, I'll do flat. But if you're not into grading and you don't know how to grade, then don't use flat. Because sometimes I'll see people post videos and they'll upload the flat image. The flat image is not an image for you to kind of just use as it is. You're better off using the natural or the vibrant, and then you don't have to touch it at all. If you're using the flat, the reason you're using the flat is because it allows you to get the most dynamic range. It allows you to see the most in the dark and the light and in between. And that's so that after, when you're editing, you're able to do that yourself. It's kind of like if you're shooting in flat, you're saying, I want to be able to paint the picture after. Okay? And then what ends up happening is I turn on my GoPro, I show it the square, and then a light flashes on the back a couple times. Inside this, first it has to have the labs firmware on it. Once it has the labs firmware on it, there's also these preferences, and the preferences you would have to make sure with the LEDs that you have the rear light on, because that way it gives you all the little signals through flashes so you know what's going on. So first of all, I plug in the drone, I let it sit for a bit, then I push the power button, it turns on, and I know it's on. Now when I show it the square, it'll do 2 little flashes, and I'll know that it took the setting. And I might do it again just in case. But in general, I'll have these for nighttime. I'll have the ISO at 1600 and the frames per second at 24 or 30. Then for daytime, I'll be shooting at 30 if it's like, let's say, overcast. I'll be shooting at 60 if it's a little bit more bright for the frames per second. And then with the ISO, max 400, 800. And then all those other settings are almost the same. So now after I've captured the video, and basically to record, I just tap the button that says record. It starts flashing slowly. I get my shot. It comes back. I hit the record button again. It stops flashing. I got the video. If for whatever reason the video is corrupted, let's say you had an accident or halfway through shooting, it turns off, then yeah. If it's super dark, 24. But just remember also that if you're shooting at 24, you're going to want to fly a bit smoother because lots of movement will be more blurry. Whereas 30 kind of captures the movement better. But regardless, if you're shooting to make something kind of cinematic, you want everything to be more slow. Yeah, and not really flicker. It's just 24 is slower. So slower, you get a bit more motion blur. And if you move a lot, you'll notice that motion blur. If you're like doing a lot of turns and spins and stuff, you're going to have more motion blur. But if you're just shooting nice and smooth, the 24 is fine. And it's also going to let more light in. It's going to let more light in. So if anything goes wrong with your file, GoPro has a feature built into it where it fixes that. So all you got to do is turn on your GoPro, put your memory card in, and let it do its thing. It'll repair the file for you. So that's a nice thing with GoPros too. And with this, it does like some light thing, like same thing. You'll just see it's doing something, leave it alone. It's done it. It fixed the file. So the GoPro can do everything without the screens on it. And without the screens on it, we're able to get it super light. So this GoPro weighs 30 grams. And it just makes it easy to be able to fly with it and everything. Okay, so now, moment of truth. So now we're gonna take this. I did a photo shoot this morning. Well, I went to a shoot and I rented my snake, and I got a few like backstage shots and whatever. And I asked them if I could do a quick fly around with my thing, and there were like 10 minutes left before all this stuff was over. So I did it, and it was my first time using automatic shutter. So I haven't been able to see the footage, so we're doing it live here, and we're gonna see if we got it, because I just flew around her for like I think like a minute, and hopefully we got something that we can make some cool shorts. And we're not supposed to post any of this until February 10th, but you guys get to see it first. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so I got my file, and the GoPro 9 seems to split it into two. No, that's the wave. It took the audio also. But there is no audio on this because they have no... Yeah, let me just see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no audio. When you do a naked GoPro, I have the Naked GoPro Masterclass. There's a playlist where I spend hours like stripping a couple GoPros and showing you all the different parts. There is the audio piece, and half of the time you can't get it off. I might have to try something with like heat or something, but it's glued in there really, really toughly. So if you can get that little piece off, then your videos will be able to have audio. But if not, then you don't get any audio. Plus, the audio out of it is just gonna, have your FPV drone zipping around, right? So here we go. Here's the file. Now I have on my computer, you can see I have a footage dump and I have a folder. It says GoPro 10 raw. And then I'll make a new folder and I'll just call this Dana shoot, so that everything from today that was for that shoot, I'll stick in this folder. And that way I don't lose stuff. Now we transfer the file over. And I'm going to open up Gyroflow. Now, in Gyroflow, we're going to drop this video. And it's always the same. I always have 4x3. And just always kind of doing it the same just makes it easy. It becomes a system that you repeat. I don't even really watch the video. Like, I don't even really care. It always looks like I'm not going to be using the 4x3 image. I'm just going to dump it in there. And it's going to be able to read the lens and everything. And now for the smoothness, I think it's automatically set to like 5%. I don't want it to be like zoomed in too much. I don't want it to be like overly. I want it to still kind of look real, but nice and smooth. So the smoothness I'll take down to 2%. And you can look at these settings. So the smoothness at 2%, zoom limit 130, zooming speed 4, lens correction 100, and it has the lens, it has all the stuff, like it automatically finds out the information from the thing. And there's my shot, and I export it. So it's as simple as that. It sees the information, and it basically puts it into the same thing. And I shot this? Let me just check something. Oh, I didn't even check. I shot it at 60 frames so that I could slow it down. And then I put it on automatic shutter so that it would just kind of do that itself. Because I did want to be able to slow this down. And we had good lighting inside the place. And this is at, 4K. And then the export settings. See, it's exporting it. It's exporting at lower. The bit rate. What's the bit rate here? Yeah, 95. It's also turning it from H.2.4 to H.2.5. And you might actually want to keep it at H. With vertical, I don't do really vertical. I'll have the wide, and then I can cut it later to vertical in DaVinci. In DaVinci, if I want to turn it to vertical, I will. But just in general, I still like horizontal, and I'll use it like in my vlogs and stuff. Oh yeah, the stream I can't make it vertical. I mean I can't make it horizontal because it's a whole different like whatever. That's why I'm just telling here. I can move this though. It's probably hard to see at this size. But here in the export settings, usually I've just left this. I let it go to H.265, which if you're going to keep it like that, that might be better. If you want to work on it, you might want to have it on ProRes or H.264. H.264 is H.264 is basically a bit of a less efficient file, but it has, I believe, a little bit more data than the H.265 does. in the final rendering after it's edited, you could do it in H.265, and I'll just honestly, I just use H.265, right? And then in these advanced settings, like I don't ever really touch any of this. You know, I just let it do its thing, and that's good enough because what I'm doing is mostly it's social media stuff. I'm not getting anything that serious. So now I export the stabilized one into the same file as the regular one. Oh, this is not. I'm gonna show you then with when we do change the the actual thing. I'll show you because this process is just basically getting the footage ready to go into DaVinci for me, and then DaVinci, like I take all the files, I shove them through Gyroflow. I don't even think about this stuff. I just dump the file off my memory card into the folder, run it all through Gyroflow. Usually I'll take all the files and do them at the same time. You can add a render queue and you can do them basically all at the same time. And then they're all in that folder. And I'm like, I probably even could, I could probably swap these and do horizontal. Yeah, I'm going to try that after and just see what happens. Okay, so we got that. Okay. So let's just see what happens if we were to swap this. Okay. Original. Okay, so let's just see what it does. If I do 4K, it does no, but that proportional. Yeah, let's just see if I put it in 4K and I do that. Let's just see what it looks like versus manually doing it myself after. Okay. No, rename. Okay. Okay, now while this is doing that, we'll go into DaVinci. And DaVinci is basically just the best editing software and it's free. So everyone should get used to it. I have a video teaching you kind of how to set up your DaVinci and everything, a bit of workflow stuff. So I'll get that up eventually. But new project. Now here in the rendering, I have a custom one already set up. So this is what you're going to want. You're going to want 25601440. This is the resolution. So you're not going to want, here they have a 2K resolution, like they have one built into it, and you don't want to use that one. You want it to actually be 25601440. That's like the regular landscape. Here, yeah. That's the regular landscape. And then if you want to do a vertical, you just go bam, and that makes it vertical. Use vertical resolution. But you want to kind of save yourself a little preset. Format, MP4 codec. Now, you might want to do H.264. H.265 will work with YouTube. H.265 won't work, I think, with Instagram or with TikTok. So if you're doing Instagram, TikTok, and all that, you might want to do H.264. I just do H.265. And landscape, regular, and then vertical, you just click that. And then also when we're working on it, I'm going to show you that when we're here and we're working on it, you can go to the settings. And here you can do use vertical resolution. Boom. And it'll change it from a horizontal to a vertical. But now those files, Is it done? It's almost done. But I'm going to show you if you shot vertically, then obviously it would probably look better vertically. But basically going to show you the difference between taking horizontal footage and making it vertical versus rendering it vertical. Because I think that rendering it vertical is just going to cut more off than we'd want to. And when it's cut off, we're not able to play with it then. We lose a whole pile of resolution. Whereas if we keep the horizontal footage, we can still move it back and forth and still have the sides. Okay, so it's done. Open file location. We should have 3 files here. We have the regular one, the stabilized, and the stabilized horizontal. Okay, so now we're done with Gyroflow. We go to this, and now when we drop the file, it's automatically going to ask us if it wants us to change the work, right? So we're going to just take that here, boom, change, because we want the timeline to be the same frame rate. And now let's look at what we did for the first time. Let's see if we got the shot. Oh, no. What's this? Yeah, okay. It looks like it exposed it good, so the auto shutter speed was good. I was also nervous. Here we go. And really all I need from this minute is like 20 like a few 8 to 10 second clips, maybe one like 1 minute clip, if even that. Now here I'm trying to go a little bit faster and get that kind of orbit going, but it's tricky. There's water all over the ground, and there's people in the room, and there's other lights. And you know when you're doing FPV how a big space seems small. Okay. So oh no, they thought it was awesome. Like this is the thing for me. I've been a hairdresser since I'm 19. So I've been doing fashion stuff my whole life. Lots of the time stuff like this. And that's how I got into photography. So I'd always be doing hair at shoots like this. And then I'd start bringing my camera and learning photography or taking shots and whatever. And then I got into reptile breeding and I started renting my snakes to like media stuff. So this girl found me on Instagram. She rented my snake for the shoot. And we did the shoot. And I just brought my little drone and was like, hey, can I get a round shot? Like, you guys can use it for social media and whatever. And they're like, sure. The photographer also owned a studio. So that was cool. And I got to network and meet a pile of people. There was a hairdresser, a makeup artist, a couple photographers, and the model. It was her first time working with me, like for the model. And she already wants to do more shoots because she had a great time. It was her first time holding a snake. And then the lady with the studio, we exchanged information and everything too. So whenever I'm doing these kind of things, I'm networking more. And then I'm trying to get them all to come for haircuts and stuff too. Because the model actually lives next to my hair salon. So it's all, I try to kind of intertwine everything. What else? Yeah. So let's look at the, or like, so when you take that, the 4x3 and you make it horizontal, vertical, let's just see what we got. But see, to me, shooting vertical, I'm going to have less to work with anyways. Yeah, I'm not allowed to post these until, but see, like we actually still have some good, horizontally it works too. But yeah, see, it cuts her face. So it's like in the vertical, I have that. So when I take the vertical and I go see, like when I take, I'm just going to get rid of this because right here, I'm just looking for the moments. Okay. So like, what is the best moment in this shoot? And I already know. It's not there. It's when I get her the second time around, I ask her to look into the camera. No, we still don't got it. I got his lips. There she kind of looked at the camera. Did she look at it some more? No. We got that one moment where she... No, it's just the eyes are on the camera or not. There's only like 2 places where she looked at the camera, but it wasn't close. And yes, after we can take that moment and slow-mo it. But, okay. Let's say we take... Okay, before we even start cutting it, the best moment is going to be... This is flat. There we go. So we have her eyes at least looking at it. So this is going to be what I'm going to grade to. This is shot flat. So now what I'm going to do though, I'm going to go and I'm going to look right here. So I always when I grade, like I have my own little simple process. There's some people that pull out nodes and nodes and nodes and make a node tree. The first thing I'll mess with is the gain. And I do like to almost push it up a bit because it makes things a bit brighter. And I just always like things a bit more brighter. Then the gamma, I actually don't, do I mess with it a touch? Yeah, I brought it. No, did nothing. Mostly just the gain there. Then I look at the contrast and I want to give contrast, but with the way the lighting is, it might not help. Like it might make things worse. Yeah, it kind of makes things a bit worse. So I'm giving it like a touch of contrast. I almost always do want to give it contrast. And then you can use pivot to like move that contrast and see where it looks best. Medium detail, it just gives you a bit more detail. Not medium, it just, I don't know, MD gives you more detail. So I just push that a bit. It's almost like adding structure. Now with the light, usually you want to bump the light up. You want to bring the light up and then you want to bring the shadow down. That just gives you a more popping contrast. But see with this, yeah, I'll still bring it up a bit. I kind of want to bring it down so that I get more detail out of the lights. But having that dark and light always, it gives you something nice. And now because we're flat, we can give it a bit of saturation just a little bit. We don't want to give it too much. So there, 55. I'd take it 53. Because then I can also do the color boost, which like color boost just kind of makes the colors a little bit more vibrant. So this is a color boost, and I could just give it a bit more color. And now with the temp, I like to cool it a touch. You can make it warmer or you can make it colder. And I just like it just a little bit colder. Just some people like warm, some people like cold. I just find that warm makes things look old. Like it just like think about white when it goes like when it fades and goes like an off-white becomes beige. I just don't like that. So I like it more cold. So now that's it. That's my little grade, and I always do the same thing. It's always that same little look at it with my eyes, find a scene that I want to grade, and now we can look at it again. And now I'm looking for moments. So let's cut the moments, okay? No. The movement. So when the movement moves, see, like as soon as it starts going back or down or something, I want to cut it before that movement. So I have the movement going up and it stops. And I don't let it go. Like even though it could look nice, see, as soon as it starts going down, I stop it. I don't want that down movement. And now see that eye, when she gave me the eye, I want to start right from there for the next one. But I cut out the drop. Oh, the drop is there. But that's I can still move it because I can move all these clips. Yeah, see the bounce. So we got from her looking to it going out and no bounce. We cut out the bounce. That's the start of a movement too. You want to get like the start and the end of a movement. And you don't want to have those bounces in there. And you don't need everything. You always, if you're left wanting more, that's always going to be better than too much, especially with people's attention spans. That was nice and clean. The blink, when she blinks, I can cut it. And when you do this over and over and over again, your eye gets better at you develop like an intuition that is different. And we could do a whole spin around, and then that could be where we go slow. See, so like here, okay, so now watch this. Like, see, this whole movement is pretty clean. So I can take it and I can speed it up to, let's say, 200. And then right when it comes and shows her face, now I can drop this to 50%, which will turn it into 30 frames a second. So now watch this. See that? And that was even too much. See, for that, that's actually better if it starts. We can actually break this up into 2 clips. First, we got to respeed, change it back to 100. It's got to cut over that other one. It is. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to move all this out of the way so that we can take this, bring it to 100, not overlap the other one. Now, this, that's 1. Now that is 1 itself. So that is the part that can be sped up right here because it was too much. Okay, now watch this. Yeah, see? That's a nice, it's an art of knowing also what's too much, too little. And you actually are always better off just taking your best moments and just cutting out everything else. Not everything is interesting. Not everything is great. And the harsher you can kind of be on yourself and on the footage, the better it is. Also, just with people, like let's say you're working with people, like there, the focus is not the snake or her. This is like her boots. Like, so I can get that little splash. And when you're working with people, let's say you are getting footage, you never want to give people all the footage. Unless like that. Okay, let's say you're shooting for someone and they want to take the footage. You shoot it and you just give it and you say, here, do whatever you want. If they have a good editor, they'll be able to like do something nice with it. But if they don't, like you're always better off trying to sell being the editor for them too. Because it's like, you just double it up. Like, okay, $200, I'll shoot something for you. $500, $1,000, I'll shoot it and edit. Let's say, okay, $200, I'll shoot it for you. $400, I'll shoot it and edit for you. The cost of editing is just as much as the cost of shooting, if not more, because it's more work. So you would want to say like $200, I shoot. $400, I shoot and edit it for you. And then when you edit it for them, you want to give them the best of the best and kind of just enough that they're just like, oh, I like this, I want more. As opposed to you give them everything, they have all this stuff, they don't know what to do with it, and they're not as excited, and they don't want more. They're left kind of more confused. Whereas if you give them just the best, and I learned this from working with all sorts of photographers. There was this one photographer I worked with, and he was the only guy that, like, I don't know, he could take a picture of me and make me look better. He could just make me look better than I look. Like lots of the time, I'm not actually that photogenic or anything. Like now, I think I'm used to being in front of the camera and stuff. But this guy, this is the photographer. He shot like 3 shots of me. What am I doing? And like this was one of the photos he took of me. I was just like, he made me look good. I'm like, he made me look better than I actually look. I'm like, this is a nice little Tinder profile or something. But he did that shot. He did like 3 shots. And that was about like this one too, but I took out the background. But like he took that shot and this shot. And he just like, he took a few shots of me. I only got like 5. I got like 3 actually good shots out of this. But out of all the photographers I worked with, he was my favorite like photographer. Yeah, because he gave he he didn't release all his photos. He didn't give you 200 photos to choose from. He picked the best ones. He edited them, and you looked great in them. Yeah, this was the actual one of them. Why can I not mess with it? Yeah. Yeah, like he just I don't know, he his the way that he lit, edit, shot, like he took a good shot and he made me look good. And it's just there was a level that he did that just stood out to everything else. Like it really looked like professional photography. So when I do shoots with people, like so for instance, if I'm shooting a model and I'm doing portraits, I'll charge 200 an hour. Well, I'll I'll charge 200 an hour and I'll give them 5 edits. I don't know if they want any additional edits, an extra 20 bucks an edit. And that way of shooting, I've had much happier customers than when I do a shoot and I just give them all the raw footage. Because people don't understand that raw footage isn't like graded footage and it's not the same. It's not as good. Okay. Here we got the foot shot. See, this is more like feet. Mm, she owned the studio. Yeah, Russian girl. Okay. And none of that I even care about. Okay. Boom. So now we're down to 21 seconds. So there we go. We got from this 21 seconds, we're going to be able to make a nice reel or whatever. Yeah. But a minute and a half and we're down to 21 seconds. And we probably we don't even really need the foot splash. It's kind of neat, but yeah, we don't need the foot splash. Okay, so now is the fun part. We find a song. We find a song and we make it fit. We make it fit in the song. And I'd be doing it to a song on YouTube. Like I'll pick a popular song, I'll cut it to that song, and then I'll cut it to a song, but when I so I'll cut it to the song that I know that I'm going to use on YouTube. I'll render it without the song, and then I'll pick that song from YouTube to put on it and match it. Yeah, but any of the audio during the shoot and whatever, it's gone. I get rid of it. I just make my own. But let's use copyright free music. Yeah, let's use copyright free music. I'm just wondering. Okay. Yeah. But see now also when we make this into a short, now what I can do is I click here. I use vertical resolution. And now each one of these, I can click the square and then I click this. There's a button up here and that allows me to keyframe the whole thing. And it'll move along. So let's actually do it on the long one. So here's a long one. So what I can do is here I keyframe. I go zoom. I put her into the center of it. Now I let it run a bit. See this? Okay, now I can still keyframe, so I can lower it. And I can keep it going. Now I can center it. Now remember that I chose this keyframe up here. So what this does, by clicking on this top keyframe button, everything that I adjust is going to transition. So it's not going to just be stuck in one place. Like it's going to transition from one keyframe to the next. So you can do this through the whole thing. See that? Or I can re-center it so that she's in the center of the thing the whole time. I can zoom out a bit too. Right? So now look at this thing that I just edited. So I can control the thing throughout the whole, and I can do that to every scene. But I'm actually going to, right now, am I going to do that? Or am I going to undo that? I'm actually going to undo. I'm going to undo all of that. I'm going to take, and then I can take that whole area and just here reset it. So it just resets the whole thing. So by hand, I can. Yeah. So now you can literally go through each one of these and do that. But I want to be able to. So I'm going to get rid of the vertical resolution because I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this kind of sequence. I'm going to use it in my vlog. So I'm going to find a beat. I'm going to find a copyright free beat that's fun to kind of like cut this to. So I have like a little opening sequence to the vlog. But then I'm also going to probably use that same beat to then after turn it into a vertical. But first I want the horizontal. So we got to find a sexy, what do we got to do? We got to find a sexy beat for it. That's kind of like fashion, like, I'll meet you. I won't take you on my pee break, okay? Well, hang out here. But this is basically, I'm gonna have some lunch.
Black Pump said, morning.
Good morning. We have an interview with Kebab FPV at 2:30. So in an hour, basically, we got a nice interview. Dun, 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 dun.
Black Pump said, awesome.
Do, 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 do. Two scoops of raisin, Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Yeah, today was great. So back in the day, my life was just doing a ton of this, and now I'm slowly starting to get like more gigs. But it'd be nice when it's just like that's.
Black Bomb said, saw review of 04 Baytap 65 and it goes down below 3B before video dies. Baytap did some magic.
I have no idea. Do they have like a voltage booster or something? Or just like a 5-volt regulator? Or what's going on? They have to be boosting the voltage.
Black Bomb said, something yet. Ralph FPV said, yeah, I think it's boosted.
Yeah, it's just so sweet when it harmonizes, like, because being able to like photo shoots, hair, drones, like it can all harmonize very well, and media, making media for people. Also, these kind of gigs, like they don't pay you a super ton, but they're better than a normal job. But they're not as good as like a super like professional job or something. But it's like the jobs where you're getting like thousands of dollars to shoot things are not fun jobs. Like they're actually like you're stuck on set, you're sitting for like a whole day so that you can work for 20 minutes. And I actually hate that kind of stuff. Whereas like for the snake thing, I rented the lady, she Ubered me like an hour away. I rented her the snake for an hour shoot. I got $200, and then she let me do the drone video. And then that drone video, I'm basically giving to them, so I'm not charging them or anything. I'm going to give it to the lady with the studio. I'm going to give it to the makeup artist. I'm going to give it to the hairdresser. I'm going to give it to her. And then from there,
Black
it's
Bomb
like...
said, nice.
From there, they're all going to be like, I like this. It's going to do well on social media. I have to make sure that I post the first one, because whoever posts the video first, like the algorithm knows as you're the original creator. And something interesting on, like, because if I was to send her this video now and she uploads it to her Instagram before me, when I upload it on mine as the creator, Instagram's algorithm will actually show them hers. They'll bring them to her profile and show them like hers to give the original creator more credit. So that's something else that happens with these things. So it's like, let's say you do a job for someone where you're giving them media, make sure that you're the first person that posts that media, because there's so many people copying and re-uploading things, and the Instagram's algorithm and the algorithms are actually trying to help that happen less and more credit go towards the original creator. It's another thing to just kind of think about.
Sorry sometimes interrupt you.
Oh, it's all
There is
good.
latency with stream.
It's all good. I'm happy you guys are here. Okay, so then memory cards. I have a video on memory cards and the best memory card to use. So search SD, like anything you want to search on my channel, just in case you don't know. Like you can just.
Ralph FPV said, can you recap the resolutions in out to where you are now?
Just one sec. So see here, there's a search right here. So you can go here and you can go SD card, right? You can just put SD, the best micro SD card for GoPro. So just seriously, just buy a ton of these. These SD cards, they're cheap and these are like just one of the best. It's just always have a ton of them. Just carry a ton of them with you. Because let's say you do an important flight, you can take the SD card out. You did it. Now put a new SD card. You can put a new SD card in every single flight if you need to, if that footage is very important. Because if you get the shot, let's say 2 times, and then you go the 3rd time and some sort of freak accident happens, and you lose all the footage because of that one mistake. So, and I've done this before. So now multiple shots, right? Like for instance, today I only got that one shot. I didn't get another chance to like do more shots or anything. So let's say on the 2nd round it fell, the drone goes into the water and everything's destroyed. You lose everything. So just get a pile of these SD cards from that video. Use my links.
Black Pump said, IBN freak accident incarnate.
Okay. So now see the drive that I have. As soon as I'm done transferring all the files, we got the files, we're good. I just format it. So I format that card. Okay. Now that card is empty. It's formatted. I can remove it. You don't have to eject. You don't have to eject memory cards if you're on Windows 10 or 11. They have automatic protection. So just in case you were wondering, you can just stick them in and pull them out and not have to worry. I did the research. And now I have a brand new formatted SD card that goes into my little SD card case. And I have a little case that has like 10 of these SD cards in it. And they're just in the side of my bag. So let's say my GoPro doesn't have an SD card. Oh, boom, there's a good one. My goggles don't have an SD card. Oh, boom, I got one. Oh, my other goggles, I didn't bring an SD card. Oh, my HD0 VRX doesn't have an SD card in it. Like, no matter what, you have an SD card. One of your friends' SD card breaks down, fails them, or they forgot one. Oh, here you go. There's an SD card. Like, you have no idea how valuable and good these things are. And you don't need to get the big ones. You don't have to get the super expensive ones. I get the 64 gigabyte ones and I get a ton of them. Whereas before I used to be like, okay, I'll buy the SanDisk 200 gig one so that I have like one. But then what happens with those 200 gigs is you trust those 200 gigs and you put lots of footage on it and you save lots of footage and you don't do what I just did. And then something goes wrong with that card and you lose everything. So you're better off every time you shoot, you have your footage, you transfer it to your computer, you wipe the card and you're fresh and ready to go. That way everything stays organized and you never have to worry about losing crap. And if you ever do, you'll only lose that one flight or whatever. Words of wisdom. I try to make things as like foolproof as possible because all the bad crap that happens to me. And when I do all these safety things, I don't have any problems. But the moment I don't do those safety things, problems. Okay, Ralphie, what did you wanted to know the resolution? So now let's say I was going to render this. I have my custom export where you set up the settings custom. And when it's done, MP4, QuickTime's even kind of like you can do QuickTime, which is maybe a bit better, but just MP4.
John Smith said, euphoric looks like a marshmallow.
Thank you. MP4, H.265.
PV said, start with camera into Gyroflow.
Camera? I've already done that. It's already all there. You can go back and play it. But literally, you put if you have a GoPro file and you put it into Gyroflow, it's going to find the data. It has the data baked into the video. And if you just watch this video, I made it so that you can just go through that process. We already did all the Gyroflow stuff. So you can just go back and watch that.
Ralph FPV said, okay.
As I walked through all the settings and everything, and basically we're done now. Like being able to frame each one of the shots, like I showed you, that's big for vertical content. That you can frame each moment just by using keyframes. You just make sure that you go to the beginning of the clip like this. You highlight it, and then you touch this button, this like right here, the top diamond, and now you can adjust each one of these scenes. Like, see, I can zoom in so that I have her. I can kind of center her. I can try and keep her centered most of the thing. And I kind of want to zoom in just enough, but not too much, because the more I zoom, the more resolution I'm losing. At the same time, we're in 4K, and when we're doing social media, it's basically doing 1080. You're going to upload in higher resolution, but when you're watching shorts, it's only showing you like 1080. I don't even believe it shows you like 2K or 4K when you're looking at shorts. Yeah. And see, like, you want to make it really nice, you can go through this whole thing. And just frame it all. Yeah, so see that little clip now? It's all nice and centered. And then after, you just go here, and you want to reset it. You just go to the transform to the top right corner. Boom, it resets the whole thing. Another thing that you can do, so I don't know if I have all the shortcuts. I may have changed some of the shortcuts. I have to post the video that has all the shortcuts, but you click on your thing, you hit Control R, and that lets you retime everything. So here you can change the speed. So usually I mess around with 50. If I'm shooting at 60 frames per, if I'm shooting at 25, 24 frames a second, I will never slow anything down because it's already, you can't slow down slow footage. But if the footage is 60 frames per second, I will slow it down to 50%. I'll never slow it down more than 50%, because when I slow it down 50%, it takes the 60 and it turns it into a 30 frames per second timeline. I will often speed up 150, 200. 150 and 200 is what I'm always speeding it up. 400 is as fast as you can speed it up. Like, you can't speed it up past 400. The moment you speed it up past 400, it's too much. 400 is the absolute limit, and even that is a bit too much. But speeding things up 150 to 200, especially if it's progressive, so it's like, okay, you go 150, and it's like, let's say you have 100 footage, you're going on a long, smooth trail. You can boost that to 150 when it hits a beat, when the song goes boom, like on one of those beats, or like it goes up to the climax, the chorus starts, and as soon as the chorus starts, you go to 150. It's faster now for a bit. The music starts getting faster, and there's another big like drop or something. Right on that drop, you can go bam to 200 and just like make that footage go from like a nice, slow, faster, super fast, and then wait for a nice beat to drop it back down to 100%. Because faster, more exciting, the eyes have to like really pay attention to watch it, so it grabs your audience better. And then when you slow it down to 100% after they're used to seeing 150, 200% speed, the 100% speed will actually end up looking like slow motion to them, even though it's actually the regular speed. And in the end, like that's what I find the most satisfying out of the whole thing. When you're able to kind of just look at it and just want to dance. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. And it's really hard to do that the longer the video is. And that's where shorts are actually pretty fun because you can the thing that sucks is like you could spend an hour or two just making these 20 seconds look great and it might not perform well. But you'll still know you did it. You'll still know that you enjoyed it, right? And now I'm gonna try and find a beat for this. And just like you have folders with all your things, you can also have folders like playlists on YouTube with all your music. So for years now, I listen to all sorts of music that's copyright free. So I'm subscribed to a whole pile of copyright free channels. So right now, there's a whole pile of new tracks that I haven't checked. Why is it doing that? Okay, there, stopped. So I'm looking at all the things I'm subscribed to, and now I got this song. So I'll open that in a new tab. New tab. All these songs I haven't listened to yet. New tab. And I just need 20 seconds. So I can use the best part of a song. So that's kind of cool. But 20 seconds is still enough that it'll. Now the other thing is that YouTube, there's copyright free music on YouTube. If you take the same music and you use it on Instagram, it might not be copyright free for Instagram. But honestly, if you think about Instagram like I do, Instagram insta-gone. Like Instagram is not as good as YouTube. It isn't. You can like get a lot of growth, you can get more like gigs and stuff, but in the end, YouTube is king. And if you focus on YouTube the way you would on Instagram, eventually YouTube can actually make you money. Whereas Instagram, the other thing with Instagram is over time, if you don't keep posting, it's just gone. Whereas with YouTube, over time, it grows more and more. It becomes more consistent. Sometimes you'll have a video that you made 3 years ago, and then after you've been creating for like 3 years, all of a sudden that video from the past pops up. Whereas like that doesn't happen with Instagram. Just think Instagram, Instagone. Okay. Now I gotta like pull up all the music that I haven't listened to. I really like Magic music. They have some good stuff. But you see here it says Magic free release. So some of them are not free releases. Some of them are cover releases. So you have to be careful not to use a cover release. Because they'll release music that is copyright free and then music that isn't copyright free. Infraction, really good too. No copyright sounds. You just subscribe to all these things and there's new music. There's new music every day. So I was like, see all these tracks that I have to catch up on that I haven't listened to. So every day I have like 5 new tracks that I can listen to because people sometimes ask me like, how do you have good music? It's because like I bloody listen to all this stuff almost every day or anytime I make a video, and I'm making videos almost every day. So it's just that buildup of years of like finding stuff. Like, do I even want to listen to all these bloody songs? But see, so this one I already listened to. So that's since my last listening session. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 15 new songs to choose from. And I get to use new music every time. And then for my $10 or more Patreons, I've unlocked my old playlists. So you have a library of all these songs that, like, basically, so at the end of the year, so all the songs I used for 2022, they're in a playlist. And for 2023, for 2024, and at the end of the year, I'll release the year's playlist to my Patreons. So it's like you have the songs that I chose over the year, my favorite songs throughout the whole year. So it's like me listening to 15 songs a day for you so that you don't have to. And all these songs, they're there for anyone anyways, right? But it's just I've curated these playlists that I have for the Patreons. Smoochy smoochy. Okay. Yeah, you can't hear this. Yeah, this is gentle, boring. These ones, I really don't like the vlog ones. They almost all sound the same, but once in a while, you get something good. And this is all personal preference too. Like I like electro music. I like high energy. I also like classic, beautiful, emotional music. So sometimes you want that, like, yeah, we're on a roller coaster, and other times emotional music's the best. Like if you can make people feel. But something like this isn't really making them feel. It's like oh, exciting, fashion, girl, snake. What's going on? What is this madness? Like that's kind of what you want. So with short form content or any content, are you teaching people something? Are you visually entertaining them, exciting them, or are you shocking them? Or are you making them feel something? Teach, shock, or make feel. And the most powerful one is to actually piss people off. Like if you can piss people off, it is so much more likely that they will share your content than if you make them feel good, which is sad because something annoys you. And it's like, oh my God, can you believe he did this? And then they show people and that helps you. Whereas it's like, oh, this is so nice. This makes me feel nice. Like that's not shared. Like if somebody does something nice to you, you don't really tell everyone. But somebody robs you, you're gonna bloody tell everyone. And it's just a sad fact about life. This one might be good. So I like this one. I'm gonna see if I can find 20 seconds out of it. Yes, this works. We got a sexy beat. Okay, so now that we're gonna use this, now with these copyright things, and the reason I'm gonna let you hear it now. I'm gonna use it, but you have to copy this, so you have to credit it. So now I'm gonna take this right away. I'm gonna go to my stream. I'm gonna go to this video, but it's just. And finding the right track and the right part of the track and everything for this stuff too, it is so, I don't know, it's so fun and satisfying. Okay, where are we? I have to, oh, I'm not I'm looking at my drone channel through my snake channel because I have all the songs on my snake channel. So where was I? Yes. So this is the one I like. I copied this. Now what I did is I take it here. I go to save and I save it on my 2025, used 2025. So now I have my used 2025. If I ever need to find this video later or anything, it's in my used. It may even be the best of 2025. So I'm going to put it there. It's a nice, good, strong beat. I might use it for something else. I have those things saved. Now I don't have to worry about it. We have this process. It's so important when you're doing all these things to have processes, because these processes keep everything nice and in order. So now we're on the live stream. I can go to the edit the video. And now here, I credit the song. I have to credit the song because I'm using it in the live stream. And I also have to credit it in this. Well, in the short, it doesn't really matter. So I save that. Now I'm going to take this song. Okay. This. And we got some other ones, but this one has a really good drop. So I'm copying the link. There's a piece of software called 4K Video Downloader. And it looks like, can I show you? No, not that. Yeah. Zoom in. Yeah, okay, here we go. So, 4K Video Downloader. You can kind of look at what the logo looks like. That's what it looks like. You got it. You see that. So you just go Google search 4K Video Downloader and you download that song. Okay. So you download the 4K Video Downloader. Here you can choose audio or video. So I'm choosing audio. I do paste link. I copied that link from YouTube. And you can do this with any YouTube video. You can download it. You can take the music. Technically, you're not really supposed to, but this is copyright-free music, so you can. Now I have this file, and I'm going to dump it into DaVinci. On DaVinci, you can put things on top. You can put things underneath. So the audio goes underneath. You can just take this file, and we can drop it in underneath. And you can make this, I think when you hit shift and, no, I don't know. Okay. Shift? Yeah. If you hit shift up and down, you can make this like shrink and stuff, which I actually just learned recently. But before this, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to go and I'm going to find the drop in the track. And I actually found it here already. So it's at 40 seconds. We got our drop. So I'm going to go about 40 seconds into it. Uh-oh. And I can take off my headphones because all those songs I listened to, I would have had to credit it in this video if I listened to them kind of with you. And I got to keep this video up so that people can kind of use it in the future. Ralphie can keep watching it. And we already got like more than what we need. We got more than 20 seconds. But it's like, that is what you want. That's like a impactful, like, oh yeah, get it. And like, I'm just glad we found that today from like today's copyright free music. It just shows you don't have to settle for putting an effects on all of your videos. That's not melodic. The first drop was better. So the first drop is better. So we're just going to take that part. Right there. So we got the drop. We got our, let's see if it lasts 20 seconds. Boom. So I think we got our 20 seconds. And that's probably just what we want, 16 seconds. So now we're going to cut to those 16 seconds because it's nice. We got a nice little closed loop there. So now I'm going to make this footage fit to these. And none of this audio actually matters. So I can actually get rid of the audio from there. It's gone. Now I can bring this underneath so I can look at it closer. And I wish I could see, I should be able to see the, why am I not seeing the waveforms? Yeah, there we go. We got the waveforms. This helps too, because then we can see where to like cut it and everything. And this is what will drive Ariel nuts. Like when she's like, you're listening to the same thing over and over and over again. But I want to hear it. I want to feel it. I'm going to drop it down a bit. Okay. And now we can mess around with the everything. Yeah. So I'm actually going to start with the fast slowdown. See, that's, what speed is this? Let me see. It's at 200. So now, do I slow it down? Because I want it to slow down on that hit. And it's too far away, so I can put something before it. So now I got to look for our opening scene. What's our opening scene? This could be our opening scene. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. But that's too long. We need a short one. That. Yeah, we can take this one, stick it there. And now let's see what happens. And then see, we can reverse this one because we like going back and forth. We want to dance. We want to go back and forth. Change speed. No, we're going to, we could rewind too. We can rewind some things, but we can just flip it. See that? That looks nicer. See how it slowed down almost on the beat? I gotta play with this so much. I gotta play with this for like an hour to get it to be like exactly kind of how I want it. But the beats and everything are gonna be, it's gonna be good. And then when I'm able to send that to someone and they're like, damn, like you flew that thing for a sec and you were able to make that like thing. It Because literally I flew the drone for a minute and they're gonna get this kind of like polished thing cut to a beat, framed all nicely. It'll be like how did he do that? Versus like just plain video that anyone can do and photography, which kind of anyone can do. It's like FPV, you're able to give people something that they've never really seen before. And then that's where you get to transfer that into like, okay, we want to work with you more. Here's this job. And when you're working with people that are renting, like the girl is renting studios, she's doing photography. So she's charging, we can find out what she charges. Okay, let's find out what she charges. She has like 5 rooms and the place was like popping. And then the next thing I can do is you can add your service. You can be like, hey, look, you have a studio here. I charge $200 an hour. So offer my services for $300 an hour. So then they'll take $100 off of you. So they'll be making money off of helping you. I think that I put a bit too much gain on this, didn't I? Whew. Let's take it down to 8. Has my mic been too loud this whole time? Like, is it good now? It was too low before, so I made it more sensitive, but I think I made it too loud. I was screaming at you the whole time. Icon Studio. Okay, so this is where we were.
Ralph FPV said, no, it was fine.
It was fine?
Still okay.
It's good? Like, is this better though? Or is it better the way it was? So these rooms are pretty reasonable. She's charging about around $100 an hour, which is not bad. And then the makeup area, $25 add-on.
Ralph FPV said, okay, now too.
Hey Google, set an alarm for 2:25. Okay, I'm just thinking. White room. This is the white room. 150 an hour. Nice. And the other thing is people will try to bargain with you, and if you bargain with them, they're not going to respect you as much. So set a price and don't budge on it. If it costs you a job, you don't want to work with someone that doesn't want to pay you what you're worth either. Like even with this lady that wanted to rent the snake, she wanted to. Can you do it for 150? It's like no, that's my rate. I'm like, if you want to rent a snake from a reptile wrangler, you're going to be paying like $1,000, and the snakes are not going to be as nice as mine. So it's also Sunday. Like, do I want to work on a Sunday? I don't care. But it's just you can always think about that too with everyone, right? Like if you have a rate that like I know my rates are fair, I'm not going to work for less than that. And now if you're going to do a job for a bigger company, like not a person where it's just a person. Like let's say you're working with friends. Work with friends for free. Give your friends a deal or whatever. That's fine. But when you're getting actual work, never give deals because they won't respect you the same. You say, "Sorry, this is my rate. This is what I charge. This is what it is." And they'll respect you more for that and they'll work with you more for that. When you give people deals and stuff, you're basically telling them that you're not worth it. And you are. So remember that. And then when you're working with bigger budget things, like let's say you're doing a TV show or something, you never give them a rate. You always ask them what their budget is. And if their budget is much more than what you would ask, you say, "You know what? I can make that work for you." And then there you go. That's kind of the best way to get paid when it comes to bigger projects. "Oh, what is your budget? I was just wondering what your budget is." And they'll say, "Oh, you know what? I was thinking I don't want to spend more than this." You know what? That's fair. I'll make that work for you. And then you just accept their budget. You don't lower it. And if the budget that they're offering is too little, like if it's something you want to do, you can do it, but don't be afraid to be like, "You know what? Actually, like I usually charge this." Like, okay, let's say they want you to work for 5 hours and they want to pay you $800. So if I was to work for 5 hours, I would get $1,000. That would be like, I'm usually $200 an hour, just regardless. I don't work for less than 200 an hour when it comes to leaving the house and doing like photography, doing drone stuff, doing snake stuff. So, but on the other hand, okay, you want the job. $800 a day is not bad. So you could say, "You know what? Usually for 5 hours, it would be $1,000. Like my rate would be $1,000. You're offering me 8. Can we do 9?" And they might say yes, and they might say no. And then you can just say, "Okay, you know what? I'll make it work. Better to take that money than to lose it." Right. But that's how you always want to think when you're doing anything. And also then the other thing is that you don't want to take gigs you can't do, because no amount of money is worth like screwing up your reputation. Like there are certain gigs that are beyond your level and you can't do it, and if you go do it and you ruin yourself, you're never going to get another gig from that. You're never going to get more work from that. So that's another, you should kind of have a plan where you're going. So for me, my FPV stuff, I don't really think of as making much money off of it because I haven't done it long enough. I don't have as much experience. But when it comes to hair or it comes to like photography or snake rentals, like I know how it works. I know what to do, and I'm very confident in that. And now I'm starting to like add the drone, but I've never looked at it like I'm going to make a ton of money off the drone stuff right now. I looked at it like, okay, we're going to spend a few years learning how to design. Then we're going to spend a few years flying. So right now we're in our flying stages. We're not even in our like jobs and money stages. We're just practicing flying. We're flying more, trying to get better to the point where I know that I can fly a drone anywhere and not be afraid and not be worried and not screw up. And figure out all these lighting and setting stuff on the GoPro. Like really learn how to get them.
Ralph FPV said, plus we don't have a $25,000 Cinelifter.
Yeah, learn how to get the most out of the GoPro. But the other thing that you have to understand is that, like I was saying before, if you do all that Cinelifter stuff, that is not fun work. That is high paying work, but it's also, they're going to take you all day. You're not going to get to have fun. You can make more than enough money on a GoPro. You can make a few $100s for a couple hours of work and a couple hours of editing. You can do that with a GoPro. These people that are doing like the vacation places and doing commercials for like
Liquid reality.
places. Lots of it is GoPro
Sip.
work.
Marshmallows are delicious.
Yeah, you can get lots of good work out of
Ralph FPV.
GoPros.
Sip. No fun to just hit marks under direction. 20 takes.
Yeah, because you also have to remember that a GoPro is capable of better footage than like film cameras used to be able to do, like back in the day. I was I think, is it Bonnie Taylor Hero, where it's like that music video was shot with a helicopter, and the GoPro footage would look better than the shot that was taken from the helicopter. But imagine how much that shot cost versus now it would like cost nothing with a GoPro and a drone. Okay, how much time we don't even have. We don't have time. Uh, yeah, save this. What the heck? Okay, here we go. Control S. Ooh, Dana. Let's save it as Dana. Okay, so that is saved. So I'm going to log off, I think. Yeah. And I'm going to, or let's just see if we can find a, where are you? Where are you? FPV. Spent all my time with you guys instead of making my kebab FPV thumbnail, which I'm going to have to do. Does he have pictures? Okay, let's Facebook. Okay, where are you? Where are you? There you are. Bob's photos. Is that him? Bloody should have brushed my teeth and flossed. Floss. Why can't I see this picture? There we go. Okay. There we go. Five minutes. 5 minutes. Background, whatever. There we go. We got Matthew. We got Bob. Add photos. There you go. Let's just use the sky. Okay, very nice. What? No. No. Add photo. No. Okay.
Ralph FPV said, "Don't rush, we'll need a part 2 when you have time. Check your super chats."
I'm just like, there we go. Where the heck did it go? Oh, did I not download it? There we go, Bob. Nice. Okay, and then we'll toss. Where's Matthew? There you go. Mm, okay, we can do that better after. Okay, we got it. Save, blah, 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 blah. 2025 thumbs, actual size dimensions, 1920. Okay, export. We got it. Okay. I'll be back. We're going to be back in just a moment with Bob.